Welcome, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Appreciate you joining me, as always. We've had some great shows over the past couple days. Started on Friday with our Friday Fan Day, and we had Candy Waller, does a great job covering the Washington Commanders. And then yesterday I had my good friend Natalie Spalla from ABC 7 in DC. She joined us. And then today, I'm going to bring on someone that really, if you cover this, this team as long as I have, you realize how special she is because she's covered it for more than double the years that I've covered the team. So she's been there for the good and the bad. And I'm talking about none other than my auntie, Donna Hopkins. She'll be joining us when we come back from break. So I'm excited about that, to be able to get her perspective of this team and where she thinks the Washington Commanders are. One of the things that I wanted to talk about before we went into our break was I think Adam Peters might have to get a new name. I think Adam Peters' name might have to be A plus Adam. And I say that because I love what this guy is doing with this football team. I love the moves that have been made, the free agent signings, the trades, the draft picks from last year, the culture change. This guy knows what he's doing. And I think for the fan base out there, relax, and I'm sure Donna and me will talk about this in the next segment, but relax. Let this guy eat. Let him cook. Let him do what he does. Because if last year was any indication, he's on the fast track with this football team and franchise. I like a lot of the moves that have been made. Do they need to go out and still in the draft, shore up some things? Absolutely. But I'm not here to say you have to draft an edge rusher. You have to draft a running back. You have to draft a cornerback, a receiver, an offensive lineman, a linebacker. I don't care. I think he knows what he is doing. I think he knows what the trajectory is of this football team. So I think as fans, just sit back, my friends. Just relax. Let this thing happen. It's going to take some time to get to where they want to get to. But we all know what happened last year. That NFC Championship game kind of sped up the process in everyone's mind. So now there's expectations, and that's what you want. You want to have expectations for the team that you follow because that means they're good. That means that you expect a lot from them. So now everyone has an expectation of the Washington Commanders. Well, you can't have that expectation if you don't expect for the people who are running the team to make them better. And Adam Peters is doing that. So from now on, I'm referring to Adam as A plus Adam because I think he's doing a phenomenal job. We'll find out what Donna Hopkins thinks when we come back from break. But before we do that, if you want to follow the show, if you're watching it on YouTube right now, what's up? Appreciate you. All you have to do is subscribe since you're on YouTube. If you see that red button right there, that subscribe button, that means you haven't subscribed yet. So hit that button, subscribe to the show. You'll get all the updates when they happen, soon as they happen. And then if you want to listen to the podcast and you don't want to watch it via YouTube or Sports Journey or any other outlet, and you just want to listen to it, well, you can subscribe to it via Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, it's on there. All you have to do is go to your favorite podcast carrier, and I'm pretty certain that the Lake Lewis Jr. Show is sitting right up there for you to subscribe to. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to have my auntie on, Donna Hopkins from Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. She'll be joining us, so hang tight. Welcome back, everyone, to the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. And as we've been doing over the past couple of days, we had Candy Waller on with us on Friday. We had my good friend Natalie Spalla on with us yesterday. And today, we're going to bring on, and she's the queen of it all. She really is. We're going to bring on my auntie, someone that's been covering the Washington Commanders. She's the senior most reporter, and I say that with all due respect. She's been there for the good and the bad, and hopefully now it's all good again. So let's bring her on now from Pro Football Plus, my auntie, Donna Hopkins. How you doing, Donna?
Hey, Lake. Great to be on with you.
Yeah, this is in years past we couldn't do these things. We just no one wanted to talk about the football team. It was that bad. And now everything is in just great hands and great standings right now if you cover the Commanders like we do. What's your assessment of where this football team is right now, even before they do the draft? What's your assessment of where Washington is?
Yeah, I mean, they've been really active in pre-agency early on. I mean, really aggressive. Adam Peters and company have really addressed some needed areas. And, the draft is only going to help them move forward even more so. So I think when you look at this team from last year and what they did, we all know that, wow, they overachieved. Nobody saw them going into a game before the Super Bowl, but it still was some areas moving forward to this year that they know that they've got to get better at.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, to me, I tell people all the time, you start in the trenches where if you can make your offensive line and your defensive line strong, then you can put all the other pieces around. Last year, they got the quarterback position right. This year, I think that concentrating on some needed areas was on defensive line. John Allen being gone, then you plug in with some people, free agencies, and then the offensive line, you're able to move Brandon Coleman probably back over to his true position.
Yeah.
But you still need that pass rusher, that edge rusher that I think that they still don't have yet. And then even the cornerback position, I still think that you need another sure guy there. You got Deebo Samuel coming in as the wide receiver. But all those positions outside the offensive line, Lake, and the defensive line, to me, games are won in the trenches. So I think this Commanders front office still have to plug in some needed areas. I think that they got some needed areas still to be better. And back out at the combines, when I was asking Lance, where do you look at? Where do you see this team at? He said that, how many people that they needed to sign back to those 1-year contracts. And I do like the 1-year contracts because they want to make sure that people fit into this. So I think this team, in answering your question, is in pretty good shape, but you have to go up to another level this year if you're going to contend with that schedule that they have coming up, and it's a tough schedule. So I think it's still some work to be done, but I think that they're headed in the right direction.
So let me ask you, Donna, would you be disappointed if, I mean, they have the 29th pick in the draft, and my theory is when you're picking low like that, and hopefully that becomes the trend for Washington, they pick in the later parts of the rounds because that means they had really successful seasons. You look at some of these teams, and my question to you is, you look at teams like Baltimore, New England for a long time now, Kansas City. Those teams are always picking at, 29, 30, 31, 32. Do you pick the best player on the board that's on your board, regardless of position? Or do you really go for a need? Because, see, I think Washington still has several needs, like you said. So maybe the best player on the board, if it just so happens to be a wide receiver, or if it just so happens to be a linebacker, would you be opposed to taking those guys?
Oh, yeah, I would. I mean, I definitely would, because Washington has, with the deals they made in free agency, they gained some picks with that. Gave
Hmm.
up some picks too, and I think they have 5 on the board right now. And
Hmm.
I think I heard Adam Peters at the
At the
NFL owners
meetings.
meeting say that it could be a little bit more. So we don't know how that's going to shake out. But my thing about, and I understand when people say pick the best player on the board, whether it's a wide receiver, it may not be a need. But I'm looking at, in order to get better as a team, you have to pick the need area. And the reason why I say you pick the need area this year, because on defense, the Commanders still are looking for a pass rusher. And it's going to be some guys out there at 29 that could probably help you right away. So the defense, to me, this year, last year was offense that was heavy as far as
Hmm.
the quarterback position. This year is the defensive side, which is great for the Commanders, because I think that's where they really need to get better at, is up front in the trenches. And like I said, that cornerback position. You and I was out at the combines, and we looked at some guys that probably will be on the board when the Commanders pick a 29. To me, this year, you have to get better. Like I said, you have to take it up 2 notches if you're going to have that kind of success you had last year,
Yeah.
because you got to get better on the defensive side of the ball. They couldn't stop the run, really. So you need a guy that can plug in that middle. And last year they picked a defensive guy in Johnny Newton. This is his second year. He should be much better, but you still don't have that solid edge rusher that can get to the quarterback. And this team couldn't really get to the quarterback last year. So
Not
that means that
consistently.
on the defensive side, you have to have that front solidified. And in this draft, you've got players that you could bring in and I think could be an impact. So that's the reason why I say I've got to go for a need, because this is a draft that's heavy on the defensive side and up front.
Would you consider trading back? Let's just say at 29, a guy you really like is sitting there, but there may be, as Adam said himself yesterday, in Palm Beach, he said this. But if there's three or four guys that they like, and I think he used the actual phrase of if there's five guys you like and they're all sitting there, would you trade back? And maybe now you could get two of those guys as opposed to one.
Yeah, I mean, if that is the case, that some of those, and you know that they have like multiple guys that they're looking at that,
Of course they
okay,
are.
these guys can help us. So we may have five, like you said, that's waiting there later on past the 29th pick. So if I can gain a few more draft picks and still get some of the key guys that's on my list, yeah, I'm going to go back, because the more draft picks you can get, the better you're going to be in getting some people on this roster, because even some of the guys that they sign in free agency, that doesn't mean they're going to be on this team. The
Mhm.
one thing about this Commanders team is you got to compete for a roster spot. It's just not going to be given to you no matter what your name is.
Wait.
Maybe Jaden Daniels and a
But I
few
was
other
gonna say, no, I
guys.
was gonna say, what'd you just say there? They have to
Yeah,
actually
maybe a
compete
few other
finally?
ones. Hey,
Oh, no,
what did I
no.
tell you the other of last year about the
Yeah.
wide receiver Dotson? I
Yeah.
said, what do you say? They don't cut number one picks.
I said that and you were
I said
like,
everybody is cuttable. And the next day he was cut. But I mean, it's certain people we know are not going to be cut on this team. But what I'm saying is that this is a team that you really have to compete for your positions, because they look at everybody. And that's what I like about this, is because if you are competing for positions, then that means that they want everybody to get better. They said last year, Coach Quinn
absolutely.
said that, look, we want those guys that come in, and he says no such thing as second, third string and all of that. We want guys that come into the game to be just as good as the guys who start the game out. So they want those guys that you don't miss a beat no matter who comes into the lineup.
That's
That's what I'm
always
talking about, competing.
Yeah, that's always been the case. With the best teams in football, they always had guys like think about it. How many times over, the years did we see like when Pittsburgh was really good? Did
Yeah.
we see guys from Pittsburgh not get re-signed? And we were like, wait a minute, that was a young star. Well, the thing is, they had a guy in waiting that they felt like could be even better, could be even cheaper on them also. So I think that that's what they're doing. And Donna, everyone right now, not everyone, but there's a good chunk of the fan base that's, just they haven't done enough. They haven't done this. They haven't done that. And I keep trying to tell people, you have a competent, professional, smart GM in the building now.
Finally.
Let him do what he does. All you have to do is just sit back and relax, because when I heard him yesterday talking to us about Javon Kinlaw, that's all I needed to know. Everyone outside of DC has been saying that Javon Kinlaw was overpaid, that was one of the worst signings in free agency. And Washington looks at it like the total opposite. Adam Peters said he feels like Javon's best football is coming. It hasn't already been played. It's ahead of him. And he mentioned that they can line him up everywhere, that his tenacity, his motor, everything about him is a commander. That tells me everything right there. That tells me that they're not listening to other people when they make their assessments. They're going after guys they feel like fit the culture in the locker room and fit the play on the field. And Javon Kinlaw is one of those guys. How good is it, Donna? I mean, you remember the days of Charlie Casserly and Bobby Beathard. You covered the team when they were in their heyday. But how good does it feel for you to see this thing come full circle now?
Finally, I was saying that a few years back, I said if they can get their front office right, they can move this team forward. And
Yeah.
finally, after the Charlie Cassidy's, Bobby Better and that group, you finally got a front office that can move the needle forward in doing it the right way. And I think the Commanders is doing it the right way, because even last year, when we look at the free agencies that they bought on, they were 1 year deals or maybe 2 year deals. That
Hmm.
means that they didn't have to spend a lot of money. And so when you look at what the guys they brought in now, and in talking to some of those free agencies, man, some of them are versatile that they can play multiple positions. Will Harris, you think about him coming here,
Love that signing.
and
Love it.
yeah, I love that signing as a safety. And then you think about Jonathan Jones, who can play different position inside, outside, that's going to help Mikey a lot also, as far as what you want to do with him. I still think that they found a jewel with him playing on the outside, but let's just think about, if you have versatile players that you can play in multiple positions,
They're
then
not
you have
stuck
a
in one
little more
place.
depth, that
Yeah.
they're not plugged. But I
Yeah.
think that they're unsure of that cornerback position still, because Marshawn Lynch, I think he should be a beast if he can stay healthy and so forth and have a full season with the Commanders. But even with Marshawn Lattimore and Mikey and Harris and all of those guys in the secondary, I mean, Jeremy Chin still hurts me. That stab is still that this was a guy that really stepped forward, and I don't know still how they let him get along
Well,
away.
I'm gonna tell you this, Donna.
But I'm going to ask Adam
Harris
Peters
is
still,
better.
how did you let him get away?
Harris is a better football player. And again, that's not knocking Jeremy, because he was a great dude,
But he
accessible at all
came on in the
times.
second half.
He did,
I'm
he
not
did,
gonna
but
agree
he's
with you
still
right now.
his weakness though, Donna, was in coverage. I mean, he really lacked in that area. And I mean, he could come up and hit you, but he couldn't track a football. And that's just, some guys can, some guys can't. Will Harris is more of a playmaker. He's more of a guy that will come up and dislodge the ball from you. He's a guy that will track on the ball, and also he's a guy that can play multiple positions. He even played a little linebacker a little bit in the box in New Orleans, outside of corner, outside of obviously strong and free safety. So that versatility that he brings, I think, is just a little notch better than Jeremy. The only difference is Jeremy's a little younger, maybe a year or two, so not much
Yeah.
younger. But I still feel like the safety position could be, potentially a guy sitting there. I know the guy from South Carolina that I really like, Nick Monwari. I mean, if you look at this guy, you remember when we were in Indy? I mean, and there was a little small murmur of Sean Taylor. Not
Mhm.
we're not saying he's Sean Taylor. We're just saying when you saw that size, 6'3", 6'4", 225, 230, and running like a deer out there, and he's a ball hawk. He's a guy that can track a football. I'm just saying, if he's sitting there at 29, what do you
But
do?
like, is that a needed area right now? Because Quan Martin really, they love him.
They
Percy
do. He's
Butler that
smart
couldn't
too.
even get onto the field because they said that he could be a starter somewhere else. So I
Hmm.
think that safety, if I'm going to kind of like keep my draft picks to the really, really needed positions, I'm okay with going in with the safeties they got this year. But it's the defensive front that I have
I
to.
mean, I know that's your thing,
No,
and
no,
no.
but I'm just saying that that's the area that needs the most improvement, is your defensive front in that area of getting some depth there. And then the other area is it's got to be the offensive line, because I don't think they have enough depth there. And then if we talk about Cosme, that coming off that ACL injury, you well
I'm
know,
discounting him. I'm like,
yeah, it's not
that's
going to
our
be
guy,
right
but
off the bat.
yeah, just Sam Cosmi right now is out of sight, out of mind. I mean, if you're expecting him to come back and come back and be the mauler that he is, it's probably not going to happen right away.
Not until
So
probably halfway into the
week
season,
10, if
because
if anything, you have more games in the season now, so there's no reason to rush him back. If people are saying, well, you need him on the field, well, you need him healthy. You have to think of his future, not
there's
just one
no
year.
setbacks.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it'll be nice when he comes back and he is ready. And we know, Al and Samantha, everyone with the training staff, nutritionists, they're going to make sure that he's right. So that's not a problem. I'm just saying this though, Donna. And this is where folks, right now, I'm talking with one of the best in the business, Donna Hopkins, and we have these disagreements all the time. Most of the time I'm right, but I just don't want to say that too often.
I'm not for sure about that.
So this is the thing. I agree with you that there are certain positions across both those lines that literally need to be answered if you're going to really compete with Philadelphia
Yeah.
and be able to beat a Philadelphia, perhaps in a Philadelphia. I'm just saying there's levels to all of this. And you and I both agreed that that team went to the NFC Championship game because of two things. Because one, they have a franchise quarterback, and they have a culture that's established by the coaching staff and the front office. That's why they went. They didn't go to the NFC Championship game on talent. I mean, let's just call it like it is. This team, last year's Commanders team, will have been the worst Commanders team you're going to see over the next decade. That was the worst. And actually, that could be a team that could have a footnote, Donna, that perhaps went the furthest. You know, you just never know. So
Yeah.
I agree with you that you have to get better in the trenches. I do like the signing of bringing Trent Scott back.
Yeah.
Not just because he has the best playlist on the team in the locker room, but because
That does help me, Trent.
but I mean, this guy was playing well and he filled in admirably for Sam Cosmi. He really did. So I think having him back is a guy that you can plug right in there if that's the route you want to go, or if you move Nick Allegretti over there, or if you move Brandon Coleman over there. I mean, you have some depth, you have a little bit of things that you can do there. I would like for them to possibly, if a guy's sitting there, a tackle sitting there, you know, a right tackle, because now you have your left tackle locked up. You
Jeremy
know,
Tussle, that to me is
yeah,
a win-win.
it's a win-win across the board. And you know, I had someone ask me the other day, "Do you think they're going to resign him?" And I'm like, they don't need to worry about that right now. Are they going to resign Terry? They're going to take care of
They're
these
already
guys.
working on that
Yeah,
deal with
they are,
Terry.
of course. And we said this last year. I said, remember last year, Sam Cosmi was signed on what day? You remember they brought him to the podium the first day of training camp. It's going to
Hmm.
be the same thing with Terry. That's what's going to happen. It'll be done clearly before the season starts. Terry will be under a new contract, and it'll be good to get him out the way because we all know what's coming up down the road. The mother load of not just for Washington, but Jaden Daniels has the potential to be the highest paid player in football history by the time his contract comes up because it just goes each quarterback. If you're good, you're going to get it.
Mhm.
They're going to have to pay him. So take care of these other guys now because you're going to need every cent when you come.
What did you say that again? Every cent. You better
Cent,
make
every
sure that
penny.
your salary cap. This is the thing. The Commanders went in this year with a great salary cap. I mean, they could play with a lot of different areas because they had money and that's what you want to put yourself.
Yep.
Unlike New Orleans, you look at them, a disaster. Who wanted to even be the coach down there because you were going to be digging out of a hole for a long time. Also, even with the Raiders to go out there because same thing, salary cap. Commanders was in perfect situation for this front office to take over with a salary cap that they had. And then this year,
And
and then
have
like
number
you
two pick
said,
in the draft too, by the way.
yeah, exactly. And so now you ended up, like you said, on down the road, you know that quarterback, you definitely gonna sign that back before it goes on. Hey, look, that's gonna be signed, sealed, and delivered before it's even a thought.
I mean, you think Patrick Mahomes' contract and Lamar Jackson's contract, Joe Burrow, you think that was a lot of money? And I know Adam's probably like Donna, damn, like don't stop. But the proof is
Adam
that
already thinking ahead. That's
he
one thing
already
about this
knows.
front office is they already thinking ahead on down the line. And you know what I like about them, like, is that they keep things hush hush. Sometimes people talk too much about what they're going to do. And this front office, they are quiet about their shaking and moving and their thought pattern. We ain't even mentioned the guy up in Cincinnati who could possibly steal
That's why.
Commanders.
But see, Donna, that's why I was saying when we were talking about drafting the best player available. The reason why I say that is because I still feel like Trey Hendrickson's in play. I do. I
Oh, Trey
just
can play.
yeah, and it's just but it's just something about right now. No one else has him. That just makes me think that he's just dangling out there for a burgundy and gold uniform. And until somebody else signs him or Cincinnati re-signs him, I still think Washington's in play because you and I both know they made it a point for us to know in this offseason, when the offseason was just starting, that they really wanted to go out and get an edge rusher. That they knew that that was a position of need, and they haven't really addressed it as far as total front line. Don't get me wrong. I think Dietrich Weiss is a huge move
Yeah.
for this team because he can play on the edge. I think Dorrance Armstrong will be a year better. You know, there are going to be some other guys that are going to get opportunities. John Baptiste from, the rookie from last year from Notre Dame. I think he's going to get a good look.
That we didn't get a lot to, I wasn't able to see him a lot last year,
Exactly.
but even with up in Sid Hutchinson, remember up in Cleveland, they dangled that for a minute and he was just trying to get the money.
Man,
This
he
could
just
be the
used them
same
as money.
situation is
Yeah.
he's dangling this and he's just trying to get the money when
But
it's
I
all
don't know if
done.
Cincinnati can pay him though. I mean, they just broke
But
off
they're
T. Higgins,
stingy
Jamar
too.
Chase. Yeah, I mean, it's a small market, and that's the other thing I think sometimes fans forget. It depends on your owner. And when you're in a small market, normally those pockets run dry a little bit. Now, when you're in a big market, you're a Josh Harris, you're a Jerry Jones, you're a George Mara, you're up in Philly, Jeffrey Lurie. I mean, those four guys have deep pockets, and that's why they're in huge
And in
markets.
different areas and markets.
Absolutely. So what they do is they get the players that they want because you can spend money on their signing bonuses. They're guaranteed money. That's all football players want. If I'm telling you, Donna, that you can come to my team and you're going to get 70 million a year, but 50 million of that is guaranteed. You don't care about that 20. That's all incentive based anyway. So that's where the big market teams really come into play. And that's why I think Washington has a chance to end up with the Trey Hendrickson. And then sometimes I look at the moves that they've made on that defensive line. They brought in a lot of older free agents. So
Yeah. Eddie
perhaps,
Goldman.
yeah, Eddie
I'm looking at it
Goldman.
now.
Yeah, I
Like you
mean,
said, Wise, Martin, uh,
Ken Law.
in-law.
Yeah, so you think
So
of it,
they did address a lot of the defense because
but it
when I
was
look at
interior
it,
guys, interior
yeah.
guys. Yeah.
But I still think you're missing your pass rusher. So
Nah, they don't have that freak out there. They don't have that
yeah.
guy that's gonna make you, like
Like Carter up in Philadelphia that can take on two people and just push them around just like that they are nothing like tissue paper. I mean,
like
because
literally.
you think about it, when you looked at Philadelphia in that Super Bowl and the way that they just destroyed Kansas City and them double teaming him and they still couldn't stop him. And that pass rush, the way they got after teams last year in general, not just Kansas City, that is what the Commanders are missing as
Yeah.
far as when you look at the pressure that they put on quarterbacks, wasn't there. When you looked at basically them stopping the run, couldn't stop that because we didn't even talk about the running game for the Commander because I like what they got at running back as far, you
But
know,
you don't like it that
that,
much. Come
but
on.
this is the reason why I don't like it totally. I think that you can go with what you got, but you have to add depth there too, because look how many times the Washington's running backs was hurt last year. Brian Robinson was hurt. Eckler with a concussion situation. And when you have one concussion and multiple concussions like he did, you're more acceptable that the lightest hit could send you having a
He's a
concussion.
play away from
Yeah, a
altering their
play
season.
away. And then,
Literally.
I
Yeah.
mean, Rodriguez and McNichols that they signed back. I still think that when you look at, you measure running backs by, and the offensive line being better, it's going to also help your running back situation. But when
But they
you
don't have a home
measure it
run
by,
threat.
up the street in Baltimore, Henry, and then up the road in Philadelphia,
I like
uh,
that.
that's what you measure your running backs as far as what they do and what they've done. Like I said, not taking anything from Washington's running back, but the depth that you have to have still because of the injuries at that position last year. That's the reason why I say that you still may want to bring in a running back.
And I think they need a home run threat at running back. I mean, I love the kid Travion Henderson from Ohio State. Perhaps he's sitting there at 29. You can move back, try to get him in something else.
You better not pick no running back, Blake.
I mean,
I'm
listen.
sorry, ain't no best player
So
running back.
let me ask you this then. And this is I always catch people with this one. if Derrick Henry, who you just lauded, if Saquon Barkley, who you just mentioned, if either one of those guys was running the football in Washington, would Washington have been in the Super Bowl? You
I
already know
still,
the answer to
no,
that.
I still think that that would be in hard press because I still think that you needed the trenches, those defensive guys because
But don't you
you
think those two guys make their offensive lines look better? I mean, don't get me wrong, Baltimore's offensive line is good.
Philadelphia's
But
offensive line
Philadelphia
is
is
good.
great. Their offensive
Hello.
line is one of the top two. Them
So
in
you
Detroit.
can't use that measurement because those offensive lines were good, even with those guys, because if those guys do not have great offensive lines, they may still be productive, but not as much as they did.
That's
Those holes
fair.
were
That's
open
fair.
for
That's
them to
fair.
run through.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
fair.
still say that if you can better your offensive line, you're going to be better as far as the running game with the Commanders, but it does have to have, still that depth at running back because Anthony Lynn, if you were to talk to him, I like to have his assessment of what he thought about his running back group last year. And I'm going to, hopefully get a chance soon to
He'll
talk to him.
probably give him an A minus, I would say.
Yeah, I would give them about a B plus.
Now, I'm saying Anthony Lynn, their coach, will
Oh
probably
no,
give
no,
him
no!
an.
I give him like a A with what he had to work with.
Yeah, no, I'm
I
saying
think that
like, but
he
he
made
probably would
Brian
say his
Robinson
room.
better. Eckler was everybody thought he was washed up. Chris Rodriguez was almost not on this team because looking at him in training camp, he probably should have been off this team. But because he came back and when he got into the game, he produced. Anthony Lynn made Rodriguez a better run, and he made all of those guys, even McNichols, definitely Brian Robinson. You saw a difference in his game. Eckler was Eckler, because that's what it. But I think that that's the reason why I give Anthony Lynn a A because what he did with that running back group to make them better. I mean, they did. To me, they went further because of him. The coaching staff in general, I think, was a home run hitter because all-star coaching staff that made this team better. You talked about that, when you looked at this team and everything, if this coaching staff is not in place, I don't know how great this team is
They
because
wouldn't be.
with
They
what
wouldn't be.
Coach Quinn
Yeah.
instituted from day one, he said, work on the brotherhood right away, get it straight. And as some of the players, Frankie Louvu told me at the end of the locker room clean out that it was no prima donnas on this team. That's the reason why you saw this team play the way they did, because no prima donnas on this team and they work together as a unit. You can have a team that's not as talented that others that are other teams, but because of playing together as a unit, it can make you go a little further.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that this is a football team that clearly is on the rise. This isn't a 1 year wonder. Jaden Daniels, everyone keeps talking about he's going to have a sophomore slump. No, he should be even better because he's going to have more weapons. Don't think that Debo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil trades weren't huge for him. You're sadly mistaken. Those are huge for this kid, and it'll make life even better for him. And I do think they're going to get a running back in the draft, maybe not at 29. But I think they walk away with a running back that has some speed that perhaps can take one to the house at any time. That's the one thing lacking in that defensive backfield. So look, Donna,
Hey, like
as yeah,
can I just say one more thing?
sure, sure.
I hate when people talk about the sophomore year for the quarterback,
Yeah.
and they always try to put everybody in a box. The thing that they don't understand about Jayden Daniels, and if you've covered him for this team and you've been really there in the trenches to see him, is that he is his own critic and the worth ethics that as far as him, because if you notice every game that he played when he met the same team again the second time around,
He was
he was
better.
able to be much better
Yep.
because he studies the game so much that he's able to say, hey, they did this against me, so I know how to counter it the next time. That some quarterbacks, they don't have that, but his worth ethics and his skill sets is, to me, propels him over there. So I hate for people to talk about that sophomore jitters and whatever. I don't see that being his case because, like you said, he's going to have a better offensive line. He's going to have another weapon as far as in his wide receiving group. So, but I look at it more so of what he does to be better as a player and
Yep.
what I saw from last year of how he improved on down the stretch. He got better at the end of the season because he was able to adjust to what teams were able to do against him.
Yeah, I mean, and it's good to have another person on here because people probably get tired of me saying it over and over and over. But this person, Donna Hopkins, is in the locker room as well. And we know what we see. We know how Jaden is. We know how hard he works. We know that during practice, he's not looking at us in the media. He's focused on the field, laser
Real.
focused. And those little things you saw from day one, going all the way back to rookie minicamp last year, he wants to be the best quarterback in football. Not just how good is he in the NFC East? Is he, where is he in the NFC? No, he wants to be the best quarterback. He wants to be better than Patrick. He wants to be better than Lamar. He wants to be better than Jalen Hurts. All of the really good quarterbacks, the greats, he wants to be better than those guys. And as long as he has that mindset and the coaching staff wants to be the best in the business as well, that's why the Washington Commanders aren't falling back. They're not falling back in the pack. They're still going to be a team and a franchise to be reckoned with, and they're going to only get better. So,
The
Donna,
draft is
Auntie,
3 weeks away.
3 weeks away. 3 weeks away. So what's going on? Natalie and me were talking about this yesterday. No Green Bay this year. No, I don't know if I'm doing that.
I'm planning to do all those trips. I can't wait to go to Kansas City.
No, I'm talking about Green Bay for the draft. Are
The
you doing?
draft? No,
No,
not
okay,
me.
that's
I'm
what. Yeah,
not
yeah,
no
yeah. That's
Green
what I
Bay.
thought.
You know what? The reason why I don't go to those places for the draft is that being there in the trenches out there at Commanders Park is where you want to be at, where things are moving, deals and all that. The front office is out there and you're getting things hot. I mean, I see the beauty about going there, but
Well, last year
because
was
you cover
different.
this team, you want to be right here with this team.
Yeah, last year was different because it was Jaden, so we were
Yeah,
in
it's the
Detroit.
quarterback of the
But
franchise.
now, nah, nothing's ever gonna have that kind of luster. I don't care who they draft this year. Unless somehow they move their way up to draft at number one or number two. Other than that, it's just not going to have the same effect. Obviously, the play on the field could be good, and that's what you want. But yeah, I anticipate being in the trenches, being out here at the park, and hopefully we just don't. And I don't even need to say that. I don't even know why that went through my mind. I was getting ready to say, hopefully we don't have a Emmanuel Forbes moment like the three of us did, you, myself, and Candy, when
That
they
is,
announced that pick.
yeah, I'm still reeling over that one. But Commanders fan, take a breath, breathe a little bit.
Thank you.
Because this team is going in the right direction. Rome wasn't built overnight.
Mm-mm.
It takes time, but what the Commanders was able to do in the first year under this front office, it was tremendous. And we know that some of the things they did, most of the things they did from the coaching staff, from players that they bought in here, they got it right. They got it right the first year. And
And it's only
already
gonna
in
get
the
better.
second year,
Yeah.
they got it right. So they're still willing and dealing. And I think that they're to be commended. So you got to kind of like chill a little bit,
Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes.
pump the brakes,
Yes.
put it in the park right now, please.
Let those people eat. Let them do what they do, and hopefully you'll be served some good food. That's all you got to do is sit back and wait for the plate to be given to you, because they put all the right ingredients in last year. There's no reason for any of us to believe they're not going to do that. And the other thing is they're very transparent as far
Mhm.
as what they expect, and their expectation is they left one on the field in Philadelphia last year. The expectation is to be able to get to those guys this year. So all the moves that they make have that in mind, not just for now. It's down the road as well. So
Building blocks, fans, they're building the blocks
yes, they are.
to have this powerhouse that they don't won't be like the little bear what the three bears
Yeah,
where they huffed and puffed and blew
and blew nothing
the three
down.
little pigs. No, the three little pigs. The straw. Then they built it wood. And then they built it a brick. And I think that this Commanders team is not that past the straw days, past the wood days. They're building this team a brick where it will stand in the trenches.
Look at you coming on here, giving some similes and all those things.
Although
Nice
I got
stuff.
it wrong with the little three bears. I was like, oh
I
no,
don't
that's
remember
the little
that one.
pigs.
I didn't get there. I didn't get read that to go to bed.
It's a
It
lot
was
of
go to
wolves
bed.
out. It's a lot of wolves out there in the NFL, and the Commanders have to be much better this year with that tough schedule.
They absolutely do. All right, Auntie, this is why I wanted you to come on, drop some knowledge on everybody, and she sure enough
Always
did
fun.
that. She sure enough did that. Like you should leave this show today feeling like, damn, I learned a lot today, not just from me, but from her. So that's why we wanted to get her on, and we're
Hey,
gonna have
Lake,
her
you're the
on quite a
man.
bit. Well, come on now, I appreciate that, but I pale in comparison to the Auntie. She's been doing it for a long time and doing it at a high level and only getting better each year. Just look at her content, over at Pro Football Plus. Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus is just getting better and better and better. So, I appreciate you
Appreciate
coming
that.
on. It's all love. Where can everyone find your great work?
Yeah, Tony McGee's Pro Football Plus. You can catch us on Mid-Atlantic Sportsnet. Also, we have a podcast that comes on in the minute. You'll get a lot of contents there. That's where I drop a lot of things out during the season. The show comes on Mid-Atlantic Sportsnet Wednesday, Friday, Saturdays, 10:30 p.m., 9 a.m. And then social media, Instagram, DJ Hop 30_32. And then Donna Hopkins, just put in my name, you'll find me on the other ones.
Of course, you will. You will. She's got great content, folks. So, as always, Auntie, I greatly appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure I'll be seeing you real soon because it's getting close to that time.
And definitely we'll have you on to talk about that draft coming up.
All right, always, always. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more right here on the Lake Lewis Jr. Show. Hang tight. What can you say? The guests that we've been having on the show have been phenomenal, and I'm sure you've picked up a trend, and that trend is they're women, they're females to do an outstanding job covering professional sports. And I say that because we know what last month was, and today is the 1st of April. So I'm a day or two late to get my girls on, get my family on. But at the end of the day, I wanted to shout these women out because they do such a phenomenal job. Well, it doesn't end because tomorrow I'm bringing the ultimate female on, the ultimate woman on. And it just happens to be my better half. And she does a phenomenal job covering the Washington Commanders as the in-game host for the team. Last week did a phenomenal job as a moderator for the Women of Washington, which was held in Prince George's County, Maryland. And obviously here where we live, she's an evening anchor. So I'm going to have her joining the pod with me tomorrow. We'll be in the home setup, but she'll be with me tomorrow, and we'll get her take and her excitement level for the 2025 Washington Commanders. So, my friends, appreciate you joining me. I want to thank Donna Hopkins once again for coming on today. Tomorrow, Janine Samuels, my better half, will be on with us as well. And then remember, Friday, it's Fan Friday. You know what that is. So if you want to come on, all you have to do is email me at thelakeLewisJrShow@gmail.com, and we will get back to you and get you squared away to come on Friday. I've had several people reach out that they want to come on, newbies, so they're coming on with the remaining people who always come on. So the show keeps building. We're having a lot of fun with it, so we welcome you to come on. Once again, all you have to do is email us at thelakeLewisJrShow@gmail.com. All right, my friends, that wraps up today's show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. As always, be safe, and we'll see you then. Take care.